dispatch time. 20 seconds in a time of emergencies longer than people think, because a lot of times people think it took, you know, so-and-so forever to get here, okay, but everything is logged and everything is on tape, and we can tell you exactly when everything went down. And admittedly, you know, if you have a loved one that's having a medical condition and you need help, it seems like it takes longer than it really does. But this will speed that up. So those are the three that the politics kind of align usually, and the stars kind of align, and the technical kind of align. And if you can get those three lined up, that's pretty good. But those are the three that we're trying to push forward. And once those three are done, there's some others out there that are good to do and will actually generate more money, but politically they're going to be a lot tougher. A lot tougher to achieve. And I just give you, for instance, for one thing, we ought to be looking at going out and recruiting a vendor to manage, to do fleet management, like a rider or somebody like that to manage all the fleet. That politically will be pretty challenging to do, and there are a lot of reasons for that. But we'll get better service at a lower cost by doing that. And there's some, as I said, there are a lot of things going on. I think there are a lot of opportunities. But what I want to try to do is bring my experience and let's see where we can go. And I think this is a great community. I think there are a lot of assets. I know we've got two with the chamber and Jim Heiser. We've got two big economic development deals that are on the table. Hopefully one of those two will work out. We should know in the next couple of months. One of them is about a $220 million investment, which would be you know, a significant investment for the community. So with that, where I learned the most is through questions. What questions do you have for me?
Is your job description, as you see it, is it more towards the day-to-day operations, or are you trying to get focused on long-term planning for the county?
Right now, it's a little too much focused on the day-to-day, but that is changing and evolving because we need to plan for the longer term. We don't think ahead, and that's what I meant by, you know, signing all these human resources slips. If they hired me to do that, that isn't the job I want. Okay. What the job that I want is to push people to exceed at the best that they can do and come up with the changes. Because when I talk to employees, I tell them they know what works in their side, okay, and they got to feel comfortable to bring those suggestions forward. Sure, some of them will be good, and some of them won't be worth the flip, okay, but they need to bring those forward, and we as management need to listen and take an idea and build upon it. But I'm trying to move a little more out of the day-to-day and into the bigger picture. But what I like to do is to say, for example, we need to get the road prison population up. The jail's overcrowded. So what I do is I say, okay, so-and-so, you're handling that, and here's the date you need to have it done by. And then let them handle the day-to-day. What I do is sit on top of where are we at. And there's where I'm trying to go.
Yeah, one of the things that's come up a number of times, I used to be in the building business and development business, is that just the amount of time and process to get something approved for development. And I've heard a number of developers who said the heck with it, and they've either gone to Santa Rosa County or they've gone across the line over to Alabama. Is there anything that you're doing about that?
Yeah, we are working on a number of things. I think with the new governor in place, that'll help. One of the biggest, well, there were two significant impediments. The city's comprehensive plan, or the county's comprehensive plan, has been out of compliance since October of '09. Okay? And that really tied the county's hands. About 2 weeks ago, we received approval, and it was tied up in DCA. We received approval from the state for that comprehensive plan. The governor didn't directly intervene in that, but I'm sure with the election, some people down at DCA saw the handwriting on the wall coming. Okay, and this is more of a publicity stunt than anything. You'll appreciate this. At the last council meeting, I wrapped and gave our planning person a roll of toilet paper, and I told him that this was the final paperwork for DCA. Okay, because DCA had just tied that up. But between that and the sector plan it had, with them streamlining DCA, that will help tremendously. There's some things we need to do internally. The other thing that always is an issue is the core and the water management districts. And I think we got the water management districts out. The core kind of is an issue to itself, because I've heard a colonel from the Corps tell a congressman, I will be here long after you're gone. So the Corps is kind of their own, but it's a matter of building relationships, and we're working on that. But it is a balancing function, and the question's going to be, is the commission willing to delegate certain responsibilities? Because right now certain things have to go to the planning commission. Okay, and I'm going to try to change that so certain things don't have to go to the planning commission but can be done administratively. And that way, because if you got to go to the planning commission, you just delayed your time frame a couple of months because of the advertisement, the notice requirement, the actual meeting, and then it has to come to the commission. Somebody else?
Well,
Several things. Will you comment on moving the sewage disposal plant? Comment on the seaport, which I think is an asset to Pensacola as it's being underutilized, and also the Maritime Park.
You have 10 seconds.
30 seconds for something. You all were good in 30 seconds. Let me start with one you didn't ask. The aquarium.
Yeah, aquarium.
Okay, the aquarium. The thing the community's got, to make something happen, you've got to have three things that got to come, well, four things ultimately have to come together. But the three things that need to come together is you've got to have a good idea, you've got to have the financial resources, you've got to have the technical resources, and then you got to have the political will. And the only thing on the aquarium they had was number one. Okay, they had none of the others. Okay, forgetting whether it was a good idea or a bad idea. Aquariums nationwide are like civic centers. They don't make money. Okay, the civic center will not make money, and I told the Board of County Commissioners that. But to be, in my opinion, the question is, are you willing to pay whatever it's going to cost to have it? Because it's clearly an amenity that's to the benefit of the community. Okay, as it relates to I think getting the sewer plant off the river was a good thing, okay? Was a costly endeavor, and having been responsible for in sewer plants before, there's a pretty hefty charge in pumping that sewage up to where it's going. I can tell you that for a fact, okay? But was it good for the city of Pensacola? There's no question about it. It'll help clean up the river. I know Mayor Hayward's got a lot of ideas as it relates to how what he would like, what his vision is for the city's riverfront, and you may want to ask him to come here. The Maritime Park, I really don't know that much about, other than I do know for a fact that the baseball component is going forward. Everything else is kind of stopped. Okay, and they have borrowed money to build that particular project, and they're going to have to start paying that money back, and it's pretty clear to me that it's going to have to be started to pay back before the development that they'd hoped would occur will occur. The other thing I will say is that the county, we finished our last year of operations with about a $6 million surplus. That seems like a lot of money. It's a lot of money to me. Okay, but you got to remember we got a budget. We got a budget of $200 or $300 million. So that's like starting the week with $200 or $300 in your pocket, and you wound the week up with $6 in your pocket. So everything has to be put in perspective. But the county has been pretty diligent as it relates to how they spend their money. We got another tough budget that's going to come up. We're expecting property tax rolls to fall 3 to 5%. Every percent's $1 million. Okay, every percent's $1 million. And while it's going to be tough for us, it's going to be doubly tough for the city of Pensacola because they've got some bigger issues that I don't think they've addressed. But there's some things we're going to have to address, and I'm sure there are people that aren't going to be happy with this budget, but this is what I call, it's going to be a no-frills budget. We're going to, you know, if you have $200 and you take it to the grocery store and next week you only have 180, you have to decide if you're going to buy more hamburger helper and tuna helper, okay, rather than perhaps steak. And you have to decide how you prioritize, so the board's going to have to prioritize that. But you may want to have the mayor. I think he could tell you what his vision is and how he wants to get there better than I could. But I'm here to support the mayor in any way I can. If he's interested in consolidating services, I'm more than willing to do that. I can pull it off. I think he's a concept person and he's still trying to find his detail people to, you know, if he says I want to do this, we can make that happen.
Thank you for talking about the streamlining process for permitting. We brought a small seafood company over from Louisiana. The site has been vacant for 4 years, not producing, no tax, nothing. Instead of 22 permits, we got them for 19. Instead of taking 6 months, it took 3 months, and this guy has sold like 25,000 pounds of steamed crawfish and shrimp in the last 2 months. 4 families came over. They're buying houses, they're renting houses. They need insurance, all this, so it's working. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Because the other thing that I do is when we do an economic development deal, I assign somebody with the authority of my office out to walk them through the process. Because the other thing that's good is if you've got a complex project, don't do all the design work and then to come in and say, here it is. The better thing to do is to have a pre-meeting, discuss it, then at the 50% point come in and say, okay, here's where we're going, does it work? And I'll give you a good example. We had a case with somebody out of Pensacola Beach who wants to put in a dock, okay? And the fire code is pretty clear that if the dock length is 150 feet, they got to have a standpipe on it. The reason for that is because if a boat catches on fire, it's a big deal, okay? Because it's primarily fiberglass, wood, and gasoline. Okay, and those are 3 not necessarily good things. So, but nobody took the time to explain to this person, if you cut the dock back to 150 feet, you're okay. The problem is we didn't make the rule. It's part of the fire code. But if you make it 150 feet, you don't have to do it. But then after we explained to that and told him we didn't think he was getting good information on certain things, I think he selected to make it a little bit longer to do it, but he understands. But we gotta understand that, you know, everybody out there doesn't know what we know, okay? But we do have to work within some rules and laws. With that, I know you gotta go, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Dave, if you will collect cards, if there are cards from our guests, maybe we have some door prizes or a door prize at least available. Somebody got a hat or something we can pass around as their hat?
It's another meeting. Thank you all again.
Thank you.
You could use your shoes.